As a nation of sports fans, South Africans have rapidly embraced the global boom in sports betting, but the potential rewards may be outweighed by its risks to mental health, including depression, substance abuse, addiction, and increased risks of suicide and domestic violence. The National Gambling Board reports that referrals for problem gambling-related treatment among youth aged 18 to 35 shot up from 787 to 2,034 in just 1 year. Member of the South African Society of Psychiatrists, Dr. Thabo Mogotlane, joins us now for more. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on Late Edition.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Can you briefly explain what problem gambling is?
You can call it problematic gambling, you can call it compulsive gambling. It's basically when you start gambling impulsively and you end up facing the losses, and now it's causing problems. It causes impairment in functioning. You start borrowing money from other people and you don't return that money. You end up in debts. As a result, it impairs your functioning. Now we call that a compulsive gambling or problematic gambling.
Is there a difference, I'm talking psychologically now, between sports betting and playing slot machines? In my mind, and I'd love you to correct me if I am incorrect, sports betting is, I would imagine people will feel like they've got some kind of control over sports betting because they would, place their bets depending on information they probably have at hand, like who is playing, where they're playing, how the odds are looking. So they might feel like they're more in control. And then playing slots is purely chance. So is there a difference psychologically between the two?
Yes, you are correct. But of note is that both of them, the other one, you might feel like you're in control at the beginning, but both of them, they can escalate and end up with problematic gambling or problematic gaming, because they both work on the dopamine pathway, which is the reward pathway. So you can end up with problematic gaming in both, despite being in control. So it's just a matter of time. And it's not like everybody will end up with it, but it also depends on other factors, who's at risk and who's not at risk.
Why is it that sports betting seems to have less of a stigma attached to it than, for example, slot machines, playing slot machines? It's almost acceptable to place bets on sporting events.
I think it's also mainly because of the advertising, aggressive advertising. It makes it socially acceptable. And also the way we watch games, the way people enjoy games, it makes it socially acceptable. They don't see it as a problem or as a risk for addiction. So I think it's because of that, basically socially acceptance. It can explain it all.
Now you just touched on casino advertising or sports betting advertising. What psychological effect or impact does that have on problem gamblers? I see often that people who do have advertising for casinos, they will say, yes, but, there are helplines and they can help, but we know it's not the reality that everybody would seek help. So surely this advertising is a trigger for people who suffer from pathological gambling.
True that. It is a trigger. It's because, these gambling websites, they are not well regulated. So even at that time, most of the people, when they start experiencing problems, they don't really know where to go. I can tell you, they put you at the risk of other mental disorders like depression, like anxiety, suicidal ideation, and other addictive disorders like substance use disorders. But when one develops those problems, they don't really know where to go. Hence, we decided to raise an awareness so that people know where to go.
Now, tobacco products and alcohol advertisements are banned, well, at certain times for alcohol, but both of those are addictive, and so is gambling. Why do you think casino advertising and sponsoring is still allowed and doesn't have stricter regulations in this country?
I think it's because it's fairly on the rise because it's still new. Unlike tobacco, unlike a nicotine product, it's something that has always been there. I think because of the social media and because of easy access to internet these days is on the rise. So most of the people, they don't see it as a problem. And I think it's also because of the social and economic constraints as well. People view it as an easy way out or as a potential to the solution to their problems. So hence is on the rise. But I think it's just a matter of time when we raise awareness, people will start becoming aware and that is highly addictive. And it's the same as substance use, like your nicotine addiction. It works on the same pathway for addiction.
You touched on gambling laws. Is government doing enough to address the scourge of gambling, particularly with regards to the laws?
Government is trying, but I think we are not doing much. I think there's a room for improvement. We still need to raise awareness, come up with policies that regulate this type of gaming and gambling so that people can get help. It must be well regulated.
And just in closing, would you please just reiterate how important it is to seek help if you do suspect that you have a gambling problem, and how do you recognize it?
It's easy to recognize when you start chasing the losses, it's a problem. When you start feeling or becoming irritable when confronted about your gambling, when you start spending more time and spending more money, then you realize that it's a problem. And also when other people around you, they start complaining about it, you know that it's an issue and it's a call for seeking help.
Thank you so much. Member of the South African Society of Psychiatrists, Dr. Thabo Mogotlane, chatting to us this evening about problem gambling and sports betting.